Imagine this. You are laying on your back, tied down and naked, and all of a sudden someone begins to pour water all over your face and down your nose. You feel suffocated and try to breathe, but can only inhale water. You start to feel like you are drowning and are about to die. Your heart rate drops lower and lower. There are medical experts in the room, but they just watch as your body goes into shock, and then it all finally stops. This was the situation for many prisoners of war being held at Guantanamo Bay for the last 7 years. They were subjected to harsh interrogation techniques such as waterboarding, an interrogation technique that the U.S. government had formerly deemed illegal, and other stressful physical conditions. Situations like this aren't supposed to happen in the 21st century with the development of the Geneva Conventions and the 1984 Torture Conventions, and especially coming from the United States government, which is one of the strongest proponents of human rights throughout the world, but for the last 7 years, torture has been occurring. As a matter of fact, the United States institution of torture has disrupted our place in the international community, failed to produce any valuable information whatsoever, and set back the progression of human rights on a global scale, and we must seek action against what has occurred to us in this situation. It is our responsibility as the American people to pressure the government to make sure that the members of the former government administration are tried and held responsible for the harsh interrogation techniques and torture used on war detainees in Guantanamo Bay. This issue is taking center stage right now. With a new administration in office and more reports of the conditions of Guantanamo Bay being released by the media, by working with the media and showing interest and outrage over the torture that has occurred, we can help pressure President Barack Obama into taking action as the American government persecuting war criminals. One of the most controversial elements of seeking persecution for war crimes committed by the U.S. is that some officials believe that torture has not been committed. In a December ABC News interview, former Vice President Dick Cheney stated that, on the question of so-called torture, we do not torture. We never have. It is not something that this administration subscribes to, and I think those who allege that we have been involved in torture don't know what they're talking about. This comes in stark contrast to multiple sources who have asserted that torture indeed has been committed. The convening authority on military commissions, Susan J. Crawford, was quoted in the New York Times as saying, "We tortured Mohammed al-Qatana. His treatment met the legal definition of torture." This was from an individual who worked as part of the Bush administration, elected by Defense Secretary Robert Gates in 2007, and she is flat out admitting that we have indeed committed torture. In an article published just last Monday in the New York Times, it was revealed that the International Committee of the Red Cross, the very organization that was founded by the Geneva Conventions to uphold human rights in conflict, stated that the United States CIA participated in a gross breach of ethics, including waterboarding detainees, confining prisoners in small boxes, shackling the prisoners' arms to the ceiling, keeping prisoners in frigid cells, and slamming detainees into walls. Once again, this is according to the Red Cross, a committee that the United States helped form by participating in the Geneva Conventions. They are the experts and most unbiased source on the topic of torture. This is from 2006. I cannot believe in today's modern society that we, the United States, are torturing prisoners in order to get information. What have we become? We represent ourselves as the pillar of human rights, yet we are letting actions like this occur under the sanctions of our very own government. Countless other organizations such as Amnesty International and the United Nations have been condemning the United States for the practices at Guantanamo Bay for years. Another important aspect of the problem of torture is that it has been proven to produce false leads. There is the example of the torture of detainee Abu Zubaydah. Zubaydah was one of the more high-profile detainees at Guantanamo Bay, and there was a lot of pressure to glean important information from him. When Zubaydah was first brought to the U.S., they were able to get some information about him, but the CIA was pressured to use tactics such as waterboarding. After they installed waterboarding, he became a detainee who would say anything to get the pain to stop, resulting in thousands of false leads and millions of dollars wasted. So not only is waterboarding and other harsh interrogation techniques a violation of human rights, but it also is an ineffective measure to gain information. Finally, after we torture Guantanamo Bay prisoner, we lose our ability to convict them in a court of law. Any information the United States officials obtain through torture is not permissible in a U.S. court of law, so we lose our rights to try and persecute dangerous people because we have subjected them to torture. Essentially, we are losing our basis for persecution by gaining one. The situation has become a problem several times when the U.S. courts have tried to convict detainees at Guantanamo Bay. Recently, the Spanish government has identified 6 former high-level Bush administration officials and has sent them a warrant for their arrest and trial. These men are Alberto Gonzales, the former Attorney General; John Yoo, former Justice Department lawyer who wrote secret legal opinions saying that the president had the authority to circumvent the Geneva Conventions; Douglas Feith, the former Undersecretary for Defense of Policy; William Haynes, the former General Counsel for the Department of Defense; Jay Baby, Mr. Yu's former boss at the Justice Department Office of Legal Counsel; and David Addington, who was the Chief of Staff and legal advisor to Vice President Dick Cheney. The Spanish lawyer heading the investigation claims that the 6 Americans cited had well-documented roles in approving illegal interrogation techniques, redefining torture, and abandoning the definitions set forth by the 1984 Torture Conventions. It is important that the current government administration prevent this from turning into a witch hunt inside of the government. We need to make sure that we don't enter into a new age of McCarthyism, and that instead the persecution of these particular individuals is handled smoothly. President Obama has been pressured not to charge members of the former administration and instead told that we need to move on from Guantanamo Bay. One of the principal arguments against Obama charging U.S. officials with torture is that the Obama administration risked harming national security if it punished lawyers. If the administration chooses to seriously pursue those officials who are charged with preparing for the unthinkable, today's intelligence and military officials will no doubt hesitate to fully prepare for those contingencies in the future. Obama's aides are warning him against persecuting, and as the American public, we must sway them. The former administration took our moral value away and made us personally responsible for torture because we put these men into power. We cannot allow actions like this to keep occurring. If the United States keeps jeopardizing the status of human rights, how can the rest of the world follow our examples? By showing interest in media coverage of these allegations of torture, we can help this issue become more prominent in the media, which will in turn capture the attention of the government. I know it is truly difficult to trust the media, but in situations such as this one, it can be used as an outlet for the American public to reach the government. This topic has already been gaining a lot of media attention, with more and more reports on the subject being published every day, and by showing our attention, it will raise more and more outrage in the population, and the government will be forced to respond to it.